don't know, what goes into an appeal?
Okay, well, an appeal is a situation where you've already gone through trial and you're unhappy with the result, or the other party is unhappy with the result. And so you have an opportunity to go into a higher court to have something reviewed. What an appeal is not is more interesting, I think. It's not a redo, it's not another trial. You don't get to finally prove that they lied on the stand, that sort of thing. What it is a review of the legal issues in the case, a review of what the court did incorrectly. And some issues are better for appeal than others for that reason. So where you're dealing with factual determinations that a trial court has made, those are really hard to appeal. An appellate court looks at a cold record. They look at written transcripts and they look at documents that were filed, and they're not going to replace the trial court's determination of facts with their own, unless there's no evidence at all to support what the trial court did. So an appeal is a chance to fix something that went wrong. I consider myself a bit of a fixer. And it's a much different exercise. So you're not in court with trying to prove facts and basically interviewing the parties. You are arguing to a panel of judges about how the law should be interpreted, or whether the law was followed, or whether it should be changed.
And for listeners that don't really understand the legal process, we have this interesting system in which a higher court, whether that be a Colorado Court of Appeals, an appellate court, or the Supreme Court, they give guidance to the lower courts on what happens. And so arguably and it extends from England. And, when someone 100 years ago said, well, this is what happens in this particular situation, then that is instructive for what happens here today. So when you say you're a fixer, it's essentially handling that situation and providing guidance in future cases, and that's why appellate decisions matter.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's some decisions are published and some decisions are not published. Quite a few are not, and those are the court. Let me back up a little. So there are two appellate courts. The Court of Appeals is an error correction court. You have a right, in general, when you're coming out of the district court, you have a right to an appeal in the Court of Appeals, and they fix errors, and that's their primary role. The Supreme Court, on the other hand, is more policy driven, is more interested in creating that law that you talked about. They're not an error correction court. So you have to ask for permission. You have to petition for certiorari with the Supreme Court and ask that they take your case. And your case has to have something that's unique and interesting and perks their interest, and they say, yeah, we want to decide this. So there are times when you petition for cert because the Court of Appeals really got it wrong, and maybe they agree, but they don't take it because they're not an error correction court. So we get most of our law out of the Supreme Court, but we get some published decisions out of the Court of Appeals as well. And our job as an appellate attorney is to analyze those decisions, see which ones relate to the situation we have, and craft an argument for why a case should come out a certain way based on that precedent.